Alrighty, so last month we put out a video talking about some of the weird things that motorcyclists do that confuse poor little cager brains, and we got a whole bunch of requests to talk about some more. I pulled a few of these from the comments and added a few of my own to help further the edumacation of car drivers everywhere, because let's face it, I can't cram an entire curriculum of motorcycling into a 10-minute video and a random Oreo fact at the end. As a side note, apparently the double-stuffed lie shook some of you people to your very cores. Are you doing okay? Anyway, these are the things that riders do or don't do when they're riding their motorcycle that might annoy car drivers. That's right, last time it was just confusing things. This time it's probably things that bother a lot of car drivers out there and that they don't understand. My hope is that after watching this video, you will understand that we're not trying to be dicks out on the road, only looking out for number one, or maybe they'll help you identify a rider who's not being a beacon of safety out there. Who knows, maybe one of these things might even convince you to hop on a bike and give it a try. Who knows? Let's start off strong today with perhaps the thing motorcyclists do that irritates car drivers the most: splitting lanes. How dare that motorcyclist cut in front of me at a red light? I was here first! I know the feeling. I too have been stuck in traffic and had a motorcycle roll past my window so much without a wave. Well, this is a tough one. There's two kinds of splitting. The first, where cars and bikes are both rolling at speed and the bike passes between two cars by riding on the lane line. That's splitting or sharing, and that's illegal just about everywhere in America. The second one is when a bike passes between two stopped cars, and that's called filtering, and it's illegal just about everywhere in America as well. California is the only state where splitting and filtering are legal. Utah and Hawaii allow filtering but not splitting, and then 30 states have laws on the books making both illegal. The other 18 don't have laws specifically preventing it or are considering legislation to make it legal. The question is, why should bikes be allowed to run between lanes? Well, first of all, it helps ease traffic congestion. Admittedly, not by much, because one bike out of a traffic jam full of cars is not going to do a lot, but it can encourage some people to hop on a bike to beat traffic. And the more folks on bikes, the less cars are on the road, and that's better for everybody. Secondly, it can keep the motorcyclist safer. One of the most dangerous things a rider can do is sit still in traffic. If someone rolls up behind them, they're not paying attention, or maybe they're looking at their phone, it's super easy to miss the motorcyclist in your peripherals and rear end them. By filtering through traffic, the rider's taking an active role in their safety instead of relying on everyone else not to hit them. It makes sense too, given that bikes are hot, and even though a lot of them are liquid cooled, they can still overheat in the summer. Filtering can keep the bikes cooler and healthier, and it wastes less gas. If you see a motorcycle splitting lanes, don't get mad or open your door to block them or swerve into them. Just let them go, because that's safer, and honestly, you're kind of a psychopath if you do any of the other things I just mentioned. If you want to debate the safety and legality of lane splitting and filtering, or talking about bikes, or just tell us how you're feeling today, you should really hop in the Discord server we've got going on. We've got riders from all over the world chilling out and talking about all kinds of stuff. It's not just people who ride either. We've got normies and noobs and all kinds of folks all hanging out together, so you don't have to feel like you're alone at prom again, dancing by yourself near the punch bowl. Not to mention, you'll get early access to videos, be able to join in on exclusive live streams, or just talk with your old Papa Yams and Uncle Spite and ask me all the questions you'd like. As long as it's not R3 or Ninja 400, in which case I will personally hide a rotting onion in your air conditioning. Not to mention, you'll be entered to win our giveaway motorcycles. We've got a brand new Indian FTR 1200 that you're definitely going to want to check out. If you saw last Friday's video, this thing is red hot and super good looking. If you want to join up, click the link down below and head over to yammie.co and learn how to do it. It's the best way to support what we do here on this channel as well. Next up, why is that motorcyclist dressed like they're an extra from a Power Rangers movie? You've spotted one of the rare street squids out there who prefers to ride in full leathers. Let me guess, they're on a beat-up sport bike that looks like it's from the early 2000s, or a brand new big power leader bike, right? Well, this rider's probably going to be doing something silly a little later down the road. First, let's talk about what those leather suits are for. It's really easy. They're for racing. That's it. They're designed so that when a rider crashes at high speed, they can slide for hundreds of feet on the asphalt, run off, get up, and walk away usually. They have extra padding, they're fitted as a one-piece giant monkey banana suit, they're very restrictive in their range of motions, and oftentimes they come armed with an airbag to protect extra impact protection as well. What they don't do is protect a rider on the street who comes off because they were doing something silly and hit a tree. Car people, if you would allow me to talk to my motorcycle brethren really quick, guys, stop it. If you have a race suit, just take it to the track. You've already got the thing everyone complains is too expensive. Trust me, you'll have more fun. There's no speed limits and nothing to slam into. Trust me on this one. Riding around in a full suit and pretending like the road is your private racetrack is a really bad idea, and trees really don't give very much. So don't be silly and ride with the full suit and expect that you can ride like a street Rossi out there. Now, to those car drivers out there, if you spot someone riding around in a race suit and you're on a twisty road, chances are they're about to do some serious street Rossi stuff. It's best to just let them go and do their thing, give them an extra wide berth, and do not come very near them because you never know what's going to happen. They might low side right in front of you or catch a spectacular high side and activate their Dainese airbag suits. Number 3 is the exact opposite of a guy in a tracksuit, and a very common question I get. Why is that rider not wearing any gear at all? Typically when drivers ask me this, they're talking about a guy in a massive cruiser who's wearing a t-shirt and sunglasses, but it's not just cruiser guys. You'll see sport bike riders rolling around in normal clothes and a helmet, and if you're very lucky, you'll spot the extremely young, rare ADV bike squid who rides around a massive adventure bike in nothing but athletic shorts and a tank top. But why would someone choose to hop on a motorcycle without any protection? First, there's a whole bunch of reasons, but I'll cover the most common one here really quick. First of all, it's probably really hot out. Like I said, bikes get hot when they're stuck in traffic, and even if you're wearing the most breathable summer gear, you will still bake like a potato in a microwave. And when it also gets hot enough outside, even going highway speeds won't cool you off since the wind chill only takes you from about 100 degrees to 80 or so. Even I will forego some gear from time to time, even though I am 95% at GAT, if I'm only going to be on the bike for a few minutes in the heat. However, I never, ever ride without a helmet. The second main reason is overconfidence. You normally see this in older guys who've been riding or driving for decades and they think they're good enough to avoid everything on the road they can throw at them, but motorcycle and crash safety statistics say pretty much the opposite. Believe it or not, the young guy in a sport bike is at a much lower risk of having a fatal accident than the older crowd because they were all wearing their gear and simply just a helmet and not mixing alcohol too. Chances are the guy without gear isn't going to ride recklessly, but when they get hurt a whole lot worse. Guys, this is just a general PSA, wear a helmet. There's literally no excuse to not wear a helmet. It is so simple, just wear a helmet. Number 4, why do motorcyclists rev their bikes so much? Because it's cool, okay? Number 5, all right, just kidding. There's a few reasons why motorcyclists rev their bikes. The first is when they're coming to a stop and they're rev matching as they downshift. What that means is that they've shifted 1 or 2 gears down and they're revving the engine so that the engine speed matches their wheel speed. It makes for smoother braking and allows the engine to do a lot of the work in slowing the bike down. Also, it takes a lot of skill to do it right, so if the bike doesn't have a quick shifter or an auto blip downshifter. A lot of modern sports cars will do this for you, especially if they have paddle shifters, but until recently, if you wanted to rev match your bike, you had to do it by hand. Another reason you'll hear a rider rev their bike is that they think their exhaust is an appropriate substitute for their horn. You usually see this with people who've got an obnoxiously loud exhaust system on their bikes and don't understand how physics works. As for why people put loud pipes on their bikes, well, a handful of riders are under the misguided notion that loud pipes save lives, meaning that you, the driver of a car, can hear them coming and know to look for the bike. Yeah, I know, it doesn't work, but I've tried to explain it to these folks and they won't listen to me. Otherwise, someone was trying to chase big power on their bike and think that a race-only system with a high-flow air filter and a tune will make for great street riding. That, or they have a problem with their eardrums and want to torture them every time they turn their bike over. And to my fellow riders out there, if any of this is hitting a little too close to home, maybe consider popping your baffle back in. You're not going to make a noticeable change in performance and you'll be less of a nuisance to society. Win-win. Number 5, why does that rider keep switching feet at the stoplight? It doesn't make any sense. They rolled up to their right foot down, then switched to their left foot, and then back to the right. What you see, you've got yourself right there, is a noob. New riders will often come to a stop at a red light and use only their front brake, and then use their left foot to pop the bike in a neutral so that they can relax. Then when the light turned green, they're often left scrambling to get the bike back into gear and roll away. If you see this happening, be nice to the poor newbie. Don't lay on your horn. Just let them figure their life out and then get moving. This is actually one of the easiest ways you can tell the difference between a veteran rider and someone who's fresh off the MSF. A veteran rider will come to a stop using the front and the back brake and then hold the bike still with their right foot. They'll keep the bike upright with their left, and then when it's time to go, they quickly pick up their left foot and get underway. Noobs may tend to waddle or power walk the bike a few steps. This is when the engine's pulling the bike forward, but the biker isn't confident enough to get it started without balancing with their feet. That or they're Harley boys, they do waddle a lot. Number 6, why do motorcyclists pick weird places in the cruise in the lane? This is actually a really good question. Motorcycles are obviously a lot smaller than cars, and since they only have one track, i.e. one pair of wheels on a single line, they can move around in a lane to avoid bumps, oil slicks, or other road hazards. Next time you see a rider caught out in the rain, watch where they ride in the lane. Typically, they'll take the far left-hand side or the far right so they can stay clear of the center where the oil tends to gather. Cars don't have to worry about this because if one pair of tire loses traction, you've got the other two pairs to keep you straight. On a bike, if you lose one, chances are you might be going down. In traffic, a motorcyclist might choose to ride on the side of the lane so they can see around the cars and in front of them. It'll also give them an escape route just in case a car behind them comes up a bit too close. If you look at groups of bikers, you'll notice that they usually ride staggered, meaning they've got two lines next to each other, so that way they can easily pass signals back and forth, as well as keep tabs on each other. You might see a rider move from one side of the lane to the other side through a turn, but that's also totally normal. It's all down to the conditions that the rider's experiencing. Number 7 is a pain known only to those who don't ride and are friends with the motorcyclist. It's the jargon. Man, oh man, listening to a motorcyclist talk when you don't ride is like listening to someone speak a foreign language. You've got the friction zone, nooners, balance point, threshold braking, squid, and even the kind of bikes can sound funnies. Sumos to ADV bikes to cafe bikes to naked bikes, super naked bikes, hyper naked bikes. There's so many words you have to learn if you're going to try to engage a motorcyclist in conversation. Honestly, for this one, if you don't care about bikes, don't bother trying to learn any of it. It's really not worth it. I have a brain cell dedicated to terms and phrases I don't even want to know, but if you're cornered by a passionate rider who wants to tell you everything about their bike and their gear and you don't care, you have my permission to just walk away. Fact. In 1939, Hitler's nephew wrote an article called Why I Hate My Uncle. He came to the US, served in the Navy, and settled on Long Island. Goodbye.
Between this and my desert sled, you might think I'm just some horrible biscotti boy, but really, if you click this video right over here, I will prove to you that I love more motorcycles than just Ducati biscottis. Click it and find out.